Hello, and welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. I'm Athena, your host for today. And in this episode, we're discussing a very interesting topic, which is should there be an age gap on running for office? We have Auntie Maxine, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, who's 85, and she shared her thoughts on President Joe Biden's age and criticized Donald Trump as well. Many other prominent members of Congress are also in their 70s, their 80s, and their 90s, apparently. Some of them holding on, honey, including Charles Grassley, Mitch McConnell, and Chuck Schumer. So, what should the age cap be? I want to pose this question to our audience. And is it okay for senior citizens to run this country? Joining me today are our queens, honey. We have Marlo Layson. We have Linda Husser, our bodacious lifestyle coach. And we have Tiara Williams, actress, producer, boss, all the things. So, ladies, we're going to get right into it. Should we show the video first? Should we show that first? So, we're going to show the video. And then
we're now
I want to
at
hear
a
you guys
point in
react
time where people are talking about Biden is too old. Hell, I'm older than Biden.
You look good, Congresswoman.
And I get up every morning.
All right.
And I exercise.
All right.
And I work late hours.
All right.
I take care of black people.
All right.
Trump has told you who he is. He defined himself. He is a no good, deplorable, lying, despicable human being. And he's talking about if he doesn't win, there's going to be a bloodbath. There's going to be violence. There's going to be a civil war. Who the hell do you think he's coming after? Who's going to be targeted? Who is he talking about? But you know he means business because he is the one that led the invasion on the Capitol January 6th. Now, do we have to talk about the difference between these two? Now, I want to tell you, no matter what anybody says, it ain't going to be no other Democratic candidate. It's going to be Biden, and we better know it.
Listen, Auntie Maxine was like, she reclaimed her time and she had the fire underneath her, honey. So we're going to start with you, Tiara. I'm going to pose a question. What do you think about Maxine Waters' video on President Biden's age and her own?
You know, I think that what Auntie Maxine should know is that Black people age a little differently. Like, she don't look like Joe Biden. Joe Biden gives me Weekend at Bernie's. Auntie Maxine gives me vibrant, sharp, bodacious, right? She gives me all of the things, and Joe Biden not so much. What I trust Auntie Maxine to run the country? Yes. Do I trust Joe Biden to run the country? I don't know. I don't know if I do, So I guess that's my answer to that. We just age different. So it's different. And in terms of
black don't crack.
It don't crack. And in terms of what she said about Biden, I understand everyone's basically saying, look, Biden had a bad day. He had a bad debate. He has bad days, but overall, he can still run the country. And I'm not sure that I'm so confident that he can do that, especially with his old age.
Listen, Tiara said that Biden is aging like spoiled milk, versus the fine wine of Auntie Maxine. Listen, so all right. I want to pose this question to you, Linda. Do you think age affects how well a politician can do their job? Should there be an age cap for that position?
I do believe that there should be an age cap. Mm-hmm. However, I also believe that a president doesn't run the country alone. There's advisors, there's people who give him, tell him what he's not aware of every single thing that's going on. Even as awesome as President Obama was, he leaned heavily on his advisors. So yes, I do believe there should be an age cap, simply because there just should be an age cap. I mean, I don't think we've got, well, Rupert Murdoch is almost 100, and I think he just stepped down from Fox News. Just stepped down from Fox News. But Fox News and America are two different things. So the answer is absolutely yes, I do. But then the question becomes, how old is old? How old is too old? So that opens up another fraction of this conversation as well, is what would the cap be? 60, 65, 70? And then what are we basing it on? What are we basing the age limit on?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I find interesting is that I would think being a politician is just like having a job. So isn't there like a retirement age? When do you get your retirement funds? Like if you're still pushing till 90, like are you collecting retirement at that time? Or are you just still working? I guess we'll follow back up with that question.
65 is the age of retirement.
But you know why? You know why they wouldn't step down? Because those positions are positions of influence. Mm-hmm. And being in those positions are very hard to come by. You already have your base. You can affect policy. You can affect change. Plus, you could probably get your little side deals that you're probably cooking up in the back. So I assume that is a good reason why a lot of them do not step down at that point. But I want to do another question. Do you feel like the age of the average congressperson, is it because young people are not interested in government and economic policy in that way? I think we do have a slide that shows the ages of the people who are in Congress, and I think we should share that. Yeah, so according to the age distribution, baby boomers, so ages 59 to 77, make up 45% of the House, right? And the generation comprises of 5% of lawmakers. Generation X, so ages 43 to 58, holds 38% of the House seats. And millennials, which would be my age group, are only 12%. So if this is the case, if is Congress, those type of positions do they only attract people of a certain age demographic? I will ask that question to you, Marlo. Do you think that those type of positions of power, of policy, are only appeal and amenable to people of a certain age group?
Well, I think, honestly, if you look at certain people, look at Joe Biden, for instance, right? Joe Biden has been in the Senate. He served in government my entire existence, right? So many people start young and they just keep the job. They keep the job because voters don't vote. They keep the job because they have name recognition. They keep the job because they do the things that corporations want them to do, and they end up getting the funding to be able to run, because the big secret is that it's very expensive to run and win. So young people that get into it, they become apathetic with the political system, because when you get into it and you realize the cost, the handshaking, the promise making, all the things that go into getting into an elected seat in this country really have nothing to do with people or grassroots or any of that stuff. And I think once you get in and you realize that you do have power, you do have access, you do get invited into rooms that you ordinarily would not have privy to be inside of, it is probably an addictive thing. And many people don't want to let go of that power that they get in political office. But again, many of them start young and they just kind of refuse to leave.
Can I add to that? Can I add to that?
Yes.
You know, I think it's so interesting. I agree with you, Marlo, that youth are not as interested, and it's very expensive to do and to run a campaign. And like, it's daunting to think about how to jump on a campaign and actually win, right? It reminds me of a couple years ago, I went and did some filmmaking work or producing work for Mayor Karen Bass. She has a nonprofit for foster youth. And so we went to Capitol Hill, and Auntie Maxine and all of the people, all of the Black aunties in politics and Black lawyers. I mean, it was so inspirational, like to see it. Because I don't think when we think about Capitol Hill, we think that there is this place where Black people are. And, it's kind of like if you don't see it, you don't aspire to it, if that makes sense. You can't see it, you can't be it. So if young people don't see politicians in the room making change, and I think just sitting in there, I was like, man, I should have went to law school. Like, what? Like, in my life, it literally, I was like, in my life, if I would have known or seen this, I think it would have changed my perspective on running, on getting into politics, on, so I just think that that's a thing as well, like being able to see it. When I was in there with the Black Caucus, like just kind of hanging and seeing like how they go and they vote on things that like, and then they leave, and then they come back and vote on other things, and they like it's like a constant thing that's happening like all day. And I just thought it was really interesting, and I think it's something that our youth don't get to see.
So you're saying that exposure, the youth being more exposed to these things, would generate more interest in having those type of careers?
I think so. I was inspired.
All right, then. If you are just joining us, we are Fly Nubian Money. We are here Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with different co-queens as we rotate. Please be sure to text the number 87948. Text Queens to 87948 so you do not miss when we are live or any other updates that we have to share. Also, if you love to listen to podcasts or listen to us on the go, we are now on Spotify, so you do not have to miss any of this thought-provoking conversation that we like to provide our audience. Now, another question, I want to talk about a comment that I see in the chat. And this comment was provided lovely by Veronica Brooks. Joe Biden was tired 2 weeks prior. He traveled to overseas country and then came to the US and went to 3 different states, then pushed to do a debate. Hell, I am jet lagged after one trip, and I'm there with you. I'm there with you. But what I appreciate from this statement and this comment is, now, besides the age thing, how else should we measure fitness for positions? Because Joe Biden is our president, so he's going to have to go overseas and do all these trips and things of that nature. Do you ladies think that there should be physical and mental tests required before us being able to run for office? I will start with you, Linda.
Linda. We can't hear you. Linda, we can't hear you.
That is a great question. Do I think there should be physical and mental tests? Absolutely, because I am a veteran and I could not have joined the Air Force. We do very extensive physical tests to just join. So they test everything, our hearts, we have to do different exercises. My feet are flat. That almost got me, they could do prosthetics. Absolutely. I believe, first of all, that to run a country, even if you have assistants, even if you have people who take up different parts of the process, you still have to have the ability. You can't, if something happens, you can't break down and cry and do all these different things. Life is life as a president, and we can't have you in the back going through some things and falling to pieces, even if we have a vice president, because at some point you're going to have to get out there like you did during the debate and show up. You're just going to have to do that. But on the flip side of that, I have to say that the young lady who posted the comment, I'm with her on that as well. So perhaps what needs to happen is, if you know you have a big to-do coming up, like a debate or a dinner where they're inviting the dignitaries, we might not want to have all these different trips going on. So somebody, and it'll be interesting to see what'll happen on debate number 2. Somebody probably does not have a job right now. And that's probably a story that they're not telling, because that is a lot. I hadn't even thought about that aspect. So kudos to the sister who put that up there, because I know I go to like the Essence Fest, and it takes me a week to get myself together.
Listen, I wish I could have been at Essence Fest this year. So Tiara, I'll pose the same question to you. Do you feel like there should be physical and mental tests that a candidate should pass in order to run for presidency? And also, do you feel that if such a test was implemented, do you think Joe Biden would pass?
I absolutely think he would not. I think, to be honest, I think that Joe Biden should have probably stopped at vice president with Obama. I think that he was at his height. Like that was it. That was the moment. It ideally. Okay, I'll get to that later. But you asked me about testing. I absolutely feel like there should be, physical tests, mental tests, IQ tests. I have some of him that said a civics test, a mental acuity test. I think there should also be like they should also have like something where you can like test like prejudices and just all of those things, because there's a lot of things that Joe Biden said and did in the he's been in politics for a very long time, so there's a lot of things that he was responsible for when it came to Black people in the beginning years of those careers. And then I want to believe, I don't know what the quote was, but there was something with a video of him saying that he didn't want his kids to go to school with like monkeys or gorillas or whatever, but I think it was like pertaining to Black people. So I think that when we think about politicians, and people almost being 100 years old, there was still a lot of racism. There's still a lot of racism, but we face a lot of discrimination, and they were in those political seats during that time. So I feel like to get people out and get a fresh perspective, a fresh perspective on everything. But to answer your question, no, I don't think he would win. I mean, I don't think he would pass many of those tests. And to kind of piggyback off real quick off of what Linda just said and what Auntie Veronica just said, because I know Veronica very well. That's where that comes in. When somebody, that's part of the job. Traveling to different countries and being on the go is a part of being the president. So you can't say like, oh, before like a couple weeks, maybe we should like, just have him sit down for a little bit to catch his rest before the debate. Like that's part of the job, which is why he should be younger, right? I mean, I don't know if we get into this right now, but I think that a good age for presidency is somewhere in between like 40 and maybe 65. 40 and 65. I'll say that. That is my age range. I feel like you're not 20 and 30, so you're mature enough to kind of like, there's something that happens in your 40s where you can settle in yourself, and I feel like you can think a little more clearly. And even though you don't have the experience of maybe like somebody that's 70 or 80, I thought the dynamic between Joe Biden and Obama was good, where you had a vice president that was a little older, that was settled, that had been in politics for a while, and then you had this 44-year-old man, and he had ideas, and he was young and youthful, and he appealed to everybody.
I think that dynamic worked for the situation at the time, and maybe he squeezed up the last bit of energy to do this one more 4-year sentence. But do we have another 4 years with Joe Biden? And what I want to say, or the question that I'm trying to pose to the my queens, is that how can we make sure that no matter what their age, leaders are fit to serve? Is only the age cap a requirement, or if we clearly visibly see that a person may be undergoing health changes that come with age, should they then be required to step down with certain health issues? I will pose that to you, Marlo.
Well, the biggest barrier to your question is the Constitution, right? The Constitution lays out what the branch of government looks like, all of the branches of government, federal government, that is, right? And there is no, you could say in your heart of hearts, someone should decide, right, if the rest of citizens have to step down from their jobs at 65 or 68, whatever their retirement age may be, because they keep trying to push it back and play with it. Then there's no guidance for that within the Constitution, and that's what sets up that job, right? So you, aside from someone saying, oh, I'm too old to do the job, there's nothing to say that they can't do it. The biggest issue to me is that people are not engaged in general, right? People are not engaged at the local level. And then you look at the Joe Biden situation and everybody's got something to say. Well, without a competent president that understands government and doesn't think that government runs exactly like a corporation, because it does not. People that are in government will tell you that. Without having that understanding, we put ourselves in a different situation. We put ourselves in a situation where, you know, you can slowly undo that Constitution if the people aren't paying attention, right? So I think when I think of all of this, I just think about the law of the land, which is the Constitution, and how do we figure out a way to protect that? Because at the end of the day, we have a judicial branch, we have a executive branch, and we have the Congress, right? We have the legislative branch that makes the laws. All of those people have to work together. Joe Biden is not the start and the end of the day in American government, nor is the Congress, right? We rely on all of these people. So would it be good if they were younger? Would it be good if the people made room for a new generation with new ideas, people who are more adapted to tech, people that are more adapted to a more inclusive society? It would be great if they just naturally made room. The problem is voter apathy has gotten us to a place where these people have way too much power. They're servants. Government people are servants. They shouldn't make a lot of money because most of them have part-time jobs, right? So
Okay, so
I think
I
that
want to
we
also.
have to put our civics hats back on. Y'all know this is my Jerry. I'm having technical difficulties today. But yeah, we need to get back into civics. That's my whole point. Get back into civics. Pay attention, y'all.
Okay, so get back into civics is an important thing, because I remember going through high school that we had to learn. I took an AP class on civil government, but I went to a different type of high school, so I don't know if that was necessarily a class everyone would have to take. And I think that might point to gaps in our education system that we might need to refine in order to help prepare the young people for our future. If you are joining us, we are Fly Nubian Money. We are here Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm Athena. I'm here with your co-queens, Marlo Layson, a film and TV producer. Linda Husser, we have her as the Bodacious Lifestyle Coach. And Tiara Williams, who is a producer, actress, all of the things. We are talking about Maxine Waters defending Biden at any cost, but also having a broader conversation about our politicians, their mental and physical fitness, their age, and how that affects everything. Now, I want to go into the chat and point out a comment that I felt like was a great comment that we need to actually highlight, which was a comment that this may be a play for Kamala to eventually step into power through Biden. And the question I want to ask our queens today is, a lot of people, including people within the own party, have made a call for Biden to step down and for someone else to run. But doing so will affect the Democratic positioning, because traditionally the incumbent party, the administration, especially if they can run for a second term, does better. So do you think that even though that in politics, they may really think that there's something wrong with Biden, the Democratic Party may really think there's an issue with Biden, but to remove him would to be admitting so, do you think they're making a play to just make him run for president regardless, because that will be a mission that something is actually wrong with him? Linda, I'll pose this question to you first.
I feel that in order to have a possibility to win in Donald Trump, if Biden comes out now, we are handing Trump presidency on a silver platter with garnish and cherry on top and whipped cream and all kinds of stuff. That's just my personal opinion. If we were to do this, it should have been done, should have run. To be this close, we are January, July, August, 4 months out would be chaotic, would be absolutely a loss. I do believe it would absolutely be a loss. I believe Democrats dropped the ball. He should not.
I apologize to our audience. We may be having a few technical difficulties at this time, but I want to pose this question in the meantime to you, Marlo. Do you think that it's too late in the game for them to switch out Biden? Do you think that the Democrats secretly know that there is something going on, but they have to present Biden as the best option because it will create havoc, like Linda said, if they don't?
Yeah, I mean, well, the Democrats, first of all, they're great at creating havoc within their own party. The Republicans, Trump and Biden are not that far apart in age, right? I'm not splitting hairs about 78 or 81. To me, they're the same generation. But I think the difference is the Republicans are going lockstep, right? Trump is 34 times convicted. He is sex with a porn star while the wife is pregnant. He is not family values. He's on his third bride. He got one bride buried in the golf course because that's what he wanted. It just nonsense, nonstop nonsense, right? But they're gonna lockstep behind him no matter what he does, no matter what he says. The Democrats are so sloppy and they don't do that. So I could see them causing a fray. But the problem is, again, to become president of the United States, you need to raise hundreds of millions of dollars. You need to raise a lot of money. Fundraising is huge. I don't think that they can change the ticket and keep whatever fundraising momentum that they have. So they also have to consider fundraising in whether or not they're going to come up with what is essentially a coup, because this has never happened before, where the incumbent who is choosing to run again is kind of pushed out of the way by the party for whatever reason. So this would be a move that no party has made in the history of this two-party system since they got rid of the Whigs, which used to be the third party, and moved on to this situation that we have now. So I think while it sounds good, this just shows me that the Democrats are as undisciplined as they were and have always been, and that's why they struggle with leadership, to be quite honest. But there's nothing that anybody can do, and they need to go ahead and rock with Biden so that they can keep fundraising, so that they can keep whatever little bit of momentum they have, and hopefully Trump will say something about, Asian jobs in the next debate, and that'll give them a little bit more momentum.
Asian jobs. That was so funny when Trump said black jobs. So if at any time President Biden becomes unable to be the president, Kamala would automatically step in because that is the position of the vice president. Tiara, do you think that that is something Kamala is secretly hoping for, to be the first black woman president with Biden on the decline in that situation? Do you think also that black people as voters would still choose to support the Democratic Party regardless because of that potential outcome? We can't hear you.
if Kamala is given the gig, she's gonna take it. Like, she ran for president. I just wanted to remind y'all, she ran for president and then became the vice president. So she had her eye on that prize the whole time. So do I think that the interesting part about Kamala Harris is that Black people don't really like her. You know, like they are like they are at first. It was like yes, 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 and then at some point we realized that things were the math wasn't mathing, and she just wasn't quite doing anything. I can't, and I pay attention to politics, and I can't really think of anything outside of having hot sauce in her purse and kind of pandering and talking to Glorilla and being at Megan Thee Stallion's parties. Like, I can't really think of anything that I can attach to Kamala Harris and say, yes, that's who she is, and that's what she'll do for our country. Like, she just seems kind of weak as a leader. Joe Biden also, if he was a stronger leader, decades before this, now what makes him what makes him no longer capable of running the country really is his age. And I realize that, I see people in the chat saying, like, what's our other options? What's our other alternatives? I am not pro-Trump. I'm not really pro Biden. Like, as an independent, I would really love to move into a conversation in this hour that says, like, what else can we do? What ideally, like, for us that are talking about being independent and going independent, like, what are our options? I don't think we really know. If we check that little person in the Green Party or the whatever Orange Party, whatever else that is in small print on the ballot, like, what does that get us? And what kind of things can we do now? And, like, can if enough of us do it, can we impact some kind of change? Like, today, I want to know that. Can we impact change if we just decide to, like, not pick those parties? Like, what happens then?
I think that is a question that we all should be asking about, especially what choice do we have. But before we get into that, I would like to let everyone know that you are currently watching Fly Nubian Money with your co-queens today, Tiara Williams, Marlo Layson, and myself, Athena Gardner. The topic today is a conversation that started about Maxine Waters and her defending Biden at any cost, especially, obviously, we know she's not the biggest Trump fan, and she's saying that Trump and Biden only has a 3-year age difference anyway. So we are going to get right into that. Be sure to also text the word Queens, that is QUEENS, to the number 87948, and listen to us on Spotify if you want to hear us on the go or if you like to listen to podcasts. Now, we have a bunch of new people in the room, honey, and we love our lives, our audience. Thank you so much for supporting us. We are going to actually replay the video of Maxine Waters at this conference and her discussing Biden and age and how we should think about this election.
We're now at a point in time where people are talking about Biden is too old. Hell, I'm older than Biden.
You look good, Congresswoman.
And I get up every morning.
All right.
And I exercise.
All right.
And I work late hours.
All right.
I take care of Black people.
All right.
Trump has told you who he is. He defined himself. He is a no good, deplorable, lying, despicable human being. And he's talking about if he doesn't win, there's going to be a bloodbath. There's going to be violence. There's going to be a civil war. Who the hell do you think he's coming after? Who's going to be targeted? Who is he talking about? But you know he means business because he is the one that led the invasion on the Capitol January 6th. Now, do we have to talk about the difference between these two? Now, I want to tell you, no matter what anybody says, it ain't going to be no other Democratic candidate. It's going to be Biden, and we better know it.
Listen, Maxine was like, listen, vote for Biden regardless because you know how Trump is. Do you think that is necessarily good messaging? Do we feel like the current temperature in America is that we have no other good choice as a candidate and you have to choose the lesser of two evils? And is this really highlighting the need for a prominent third party that we could actually vote for and win? I'm going to start that with you, Linda. I'm going to ask that to you.
Well, we keep coming back to, like Queen Marlo said, we are not active. People are really could care less. I'm just going to keep it real about the president. It's all about, well, I got to do what I need to do for me and my family. The president doesn't really love us. It doesn't do anything for us. I could care less about what's happening. So the voter apathy is the big issue. That is the elephant in the room that we aren't necessarily talking about collectively. Everyone's just talking about he's too old and Trump is 3 years younger than him. The real issue is that all of these people are old because old people vote. That is the real dilemma that we're in. So we could get a green party, a purple party, a pink party, a blue party. It doesn't matter if all we're going to do is do lip service and nobody even vote for that person. And then they become the spoiler. And then we're left with the lesser of two evils. Do I think that's a admirable idea? Absolutely. But we've got to get organized to make that happen. There's a reason why there's been two parties for over 200 years.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Tiara, I'll ask you the same question. Does this highlight the need for a prominent third party? And if we could have our pick of a third party, what would that look like?
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. The answer is yes. I think that if we can figure out how to insight, like just bring, let me just say it like this. Like I was Team Bernie. I just felt like, a lot of people called him a socialist and, we started having those conversations. But I thought that there was energy with someone that's coming in that's giving like just a different idea from the other two parties that seems like they're more for the people. I think that if we can find someone that like is electrifying like that in a way that can, I think we'll vote. I think the reason why we don't vote is because of situations that we have, like right now. We have Joe Biden or Donald Trump. That really doesn't leave us much options. And I think people will be like, I'm not about to participate in this mess. Like we watched the debates and I really literally got turned off. I was like, I don't even know what to do with this. I'm not participating in this. And so I think it's more of that. I don't think like historically Black people, they fought for their right to vote. We want to vote. I think we want to vote, but we want to also be inspired. We also want policies that'll speak to our people, that'll do things for us. We're still wait. I'm at this point. I'm still waiting for a student loan. I'm still waiting for my student loan to be forgiven. The things that are promised to Black people from politicians never get the job done. Meanwhile, we have other communities like the LGBTQ community that has been able to mobilize and unify, and they have money behind them. You can see like, you think it's bizarre, y'all, that like when I walk into like schools and when I'm in public, like there's like literally rainbow flags everywhere. It's like Black people have been fighting for so long just to get like a little African flag. Can we get a little Black flag somewhere to just show that we are part of the human race and that our thoughts matter? And that our thoughts matter. So I think to answer your question, because I can go on. To answer your question, I think the reason why we don't vote is because there is no. I think there needs to be an injection of like of innovation. I think that there needs to be. Someone who can speak to young and speak to old. When you get too old, your frame of mind is like you're old. You're not into what the young people are doing. You just go, oh, those kids. If you think like, oh, those kids, you can't make policies for those kids. You can't do, you're going to be so detached and so far removed from them that you can't make decisions for them. So getting somebody right there in the middle in a new kind of party would be ideal for me. Somebody that's not too old and not too young, right there in the middle. I'm going to keep saying that all hour. Right there in the middle, baby.
In the middle. Listen.
In the middle.
In the middle. Now, Maxine wasn't the only one who expressed thoughts about voting for Biden as the best option, regardless of whatever issues he may be facing. We also have a video of Whoopi Goldberg expressing similar sentiments. We will play that for you shortly.
Do you want to? Are we playing it right now?
Yeah, we should.
Right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if he's pooped his pants. I don't care if he can't put a sentence together. Show me he can't do the job, and then I'll say, okay, maybe it's time to go. Now, he had a bad night the first time that he went out and debated with Kamala Harris. And everybody wanted him to quit that and say, you can't talk to women like this, or you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. He came back, said, you know what, I got it. And I don't care if he's pooped, and gave 4 years. So yeah, I have poopy days all the time. I step in so much poo you can't even imagine. Now, I'm not running the world, but I don't know anybody who doesn't step in stuff at some point. So I'm just simply saying, there are 2 debates. And if he can't do what he needs to do for the second debate, I'll join any crew that says get rid of him.
Okay, so that is how Whoopi felt. She felt like, you know what, she had poopy days, so our president should be allowed to have poopy days as well. I found that to be quite hilarious. So I'm going to start with you, Tiara, because you seem the most fired up from that video. What do you think about this? Do you think that Whoopi and Maxine are Democratic shields? Are using the image of the Black woman to secure, the Black votes?
Yes. I mean, absolutely. At this point, I mean, it's election time, right? And so there has to be people, I almost feel like it's fear mongering, right? It's like, at this point, Black people, y'all gotta vote for Biden, because if you don't vote for Biden, then Trump is gonna like ruin the planet and he's gonna blow everything up and everybody's gonna die. And it's like this doom and gloom that drives me crazy, because at the end of the day, we'll be okay. Like we gonna be all right. We've had, I mean, I don't know, when I look at all the presidents, they all kind of are like Trump, like, and nobody, I mean, outside of Obama, like everybody has kind of like ignored the Black people. At least I'm gonna just say this: Trump at least is like, yeah, I mean, you guys ignore the Blacks, I won't ignore them. I'll say things to them that are offensive, and like it's I feel like there's a bit of fear mongering. So with Congresswoman Maxine and Whoopi Goldberg, that's what I hear. I hear fear. I hear like doom and gloom. But I think that if we can just like just stop for a second and just say, like, I don't want my president to have shitty days. I don't want that. I don't want him to have poopy pants and all of the things. Like, I almost feel like running the country is as important as being a surgeon. You're not going to let your surgeon have poopy days when he cutting on your body, are you? No, like, don't, it's just that important. We don't want incompetent people to run the country. People that can't finish sentences on, like, I mean, we're especially on a global stage. If we're competing with China and who study year round, they're like advanced in all of the ways. I just feel like we need to be in a space where we can compete. And having an incompetent president that can't finish his sentences is not a way to go.
I think that you said a word right there and a lot for us to consider. One of the things I was actually thinking about was, okay, some people can make the argument that it's not just Biden alone who would be running the country. It would be, we still have the House, we still have Congress, we still have people in his cabinet. So, Linda, how do you feel after watching Whoopi's video? And does it really, Biden being the figurehead, does that really matter when he has other systems as the Congress, House, his cabinet positions to support him? It's not all on him to do that job.
Well, I stated that earlier, that he is a figurehead. There are a lot of bits and pieces to tentacles to being president. And there's the people who that's their job to come in and talk about the nuclear part or the economic part or whatever. I do believe that he will be okay. We survived Donald Trump, and he was talking about drinking bleach and all kinds of just absolute foolishness on the main stage. And we survived. I believe that there's so many moving parts to this country that we put a lot of stock into the president, but there are so many people that prop the president up. He is not up there getting all this information on his own. So I believe the most important part of the whole presidency is who is in your cabinet. Because I don't believe that Obama knew, I believe he was brilliant, but I believe that his brilliance really shone through because of the people that he surrounded himself with. And that is my take on it.
Now, Tiara, some people are saying now that maybe they wish Michelle Obama was running. Like they wish Michelle would come and run as president. What do you think about Michelle Obama as an option, even though we're not going to get her, obviously? Do you think Biden should be replaced with someone else, though?
I'm not mad at the idea of a woman running this country. I think that women just communicate a lot better. I think that they are empathetic. I think they're sympathetic. I think they're all the things, right? And so having a woman that also has like a bit of toughness and grit to her and doesn't back down or doesn't flinch at the first offense is ideal, right? So like a person like Michelle Obama, I think she's smart, I think she's competent, she knows the law, she's seen what it looks like to run the country. She's a Black woman. It's all of those things. And I think that's a yes. Like that would be ideal for me. Something like that would be ideal for me. Like a Michelle Obama, very smart, strong, opinionated woman that knows her shit. Yes. I vote yes.
So are you basically saying that Kamala is not that?
That's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, Kamala sent a lot of black people to jail as a prosecutor. She's done her thing, and it's so funny that when we have this conversation about what Kamala Harris has done for Black people, being a prosecutor, your job is to send people to prison. Like that's the point, right? So let's just say that she was really good at her job. Unfortunately, it just didn't look good that she was also sending Black people to, she just had developed her biases. And, I just don't see her really doing anything. She just doesn't rub our community well. Aside from her just not being like a foundational Black person, I don't think she can really relate to our issues. But her being propped up as the first Black anything kind of doesn't work because she's like her dad is Jamaican and her mom is like, she's just not that that's, because I know you Jamaican, right? Like, and I know Athena, but like foundation, you from America. I saw somebody said that about you earlier, like she's a Caribbean and so she don't know, but I think but Athena was born in America. So here's, were you born in America? Were you born in
No,
Jamaica? Oh, she
I
was
was
born.
born in Jamaica. I've been
I take
living
that
here for
back. She was
over
born in
20
Jamaica.
years, though. So I would want America to be well, right? I
Her
would
whole
want to
life,
be.
right? Like, so I don't think that's necessarily her issue. I just think, for Kamala, she's not rolling over and looking at a black man every night. Like, I don't think she is connected to our plight, and I'll say that.
That's the kind of energy I receive from Kamala too, because honestly, I don't hear anything from her unless it's time to vote, unless it's time to do a cha-cha slide, unless it's time to wear that sorority jacket she got on. I know she's Jamaican, of Jamaican descent and heritage, and we were happy when she came through because of that. I'm not even gonna lie. But I will say that I was quite disappointed with what seemed to be a lack of leadership in a way that was effective. I know a lot of people quit her cabinet position and had issues with her as well. So at this point in time, I'm not even personally happy with her performance. But I do think it will be an opportunity for her to possibly be the first woman president through that Biden administration, because honestly, I don't think Biden has Biden has much to hang on to at this point. But if you are joining us, we are having a very lively conversation about that was sparked by Maxine Waters and her, I guess, soliloquy at one of these events saying how we should support Biden and age does not matter. And she was basically calling us ageist by not supporting Biden. And we all know that Maxine is not a Trump supporter. And this has called us to question what should be required of any presidential nominee as far as age, mental and physical fitness. And we have discussed that during this whole time. Now, what I want to talk about now is some money, okay? Some onion, some Benjamin, some yen. Let's have a financial conversation and see, what can be learned about how the older politicians influence financial policies. I think that Marla was here earlier and she said that the biggest issue is raising all this money to even run, right? To get the donors and the sponsors and the super PACs to give you money. Should we change policy as far as campaign funds to help encourage younger candidates or candidates that might have issues with receiving donors? Do you think that, Tiara?
Yes, I think we should just make things a lot more accessible, a lot more accessible in general, right? There shouldn't be this division. If there's a young kid from Brooklyn that has an affinity for politics and he just happens to be black, and he, maybe he doesn't have all the support, or a young woman, I think that there should be a yes I can, and a lot of people do it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, there should be, I feel like there should be a welcoming, there should be a process, there should be something that encourages people to want to run, to want to be invested, to understand that they can, without looking at like a millions of dollars to just get into a situation. I just think that we should just go back to what's good for the people. I don't know if we've ever experienced this before, and I might be dreaming right now or projecting, but in an ideal world, it would be people who are, I would love to see a government that is actually for people. I know that right now, those people that are in the cabinets are just like those politicians that are on Capitol Hill. They get like a salary of like a couple $100,000 for the rest of their lives. Either way it goes, top-notch insurance, all the things. So of course they wouldn't want to give up those cushy seats, and but ideally I would rather see people who are for the people, and maybe that's a rainbow coalition of like young people, old people, people with more, not old people with more experience, people who can speak to technology and innovation, people that can speak to like how things have always been done, and maybe find like a melding pot. Maybe those older politicians like Joe Biden, Congress people like, that who are a little older can speak to the young and find like a middle ground, because I'm all about this middle today. Like, I feel like there's a way to just like find a middle ground so we can all be happy. But at the baseline of that, I would want it just to be people for the people, for people who are for people. And so I know you asked me about money, but I just wanted to also include that thought. Like, I just, on top of that, it's like for people to represent people, they shouldn't have to pay a gajillion dollars and go get sponsors and do all the things, because that will discourage them from wanting to run.
Yes, and I do think that personally that the ages of the people in government do affect financial policies, because when you look at it, those people are going to, their goal once they're in those seats is to make sure they can become reelected, to stay in those seats, right? Mm-hmm. And if we're looking at voter demographics, it does tend to be the older population who votes the most. So if the concern is, okay, we're going to pardon student loans versus Social Security and Medicare, that might influence a politician to, vote or pay more attention to certain policies more so than others. Linda, do you agree with that? What is your take on the age of the politicians and the voting bloc as far as financial policy is concerned?
I absolutely agree with that. And I also believe, too, though, that charisma and personality can take you far. So if you don't have the money, you've got to have the charisma. You've got to have the personality. And I believe even though President Obama was a senator, he wasn't the dry, played out, fuddy-duddy kind of senator. So I don't believe he had a ton of money at 44, because we all talked about how they both morphed, how Michelle got all flied out after, they started running as well. And so if you don't have the money, you've got to bring the charisma, because that can then get people behind you. But if you don't have any money and you're boring and you're dry, that really does not make a great combination. So you got to have one or the other. I do believe you cannot have money and still make a way, just like Representative Crockett, Jasmine. She has charisma. So when she got out there and said, I want to run, people were like, oh yeah, we're going to get behind her. So you got to have one or the other.
Not just
so Linda's basically saying you have to pick a struggle. You got
to be competent too. Please, Lord Jesus, please. Because
absolutely.
There's a lot of
Jasmine is competent though. That's what I'm saying. You got to have the whole package. She's competent. She got to go on.
Oh yeah, no, Jasmine is competent for sure. I was just
Jasmine was the one that was like bleach bomb, bad built butch body. Yes. Listen, she's sharp. She is sharp. So I want to actually point to a comment that was made by an audience member. Her name is Maddie Jackson. And her question is, what is either party offering in exchange for the Black vote? Listen, top of the mind, I can't really think of anything, but Tiara, do you see anything either parties offering in exchange for the Black votes? I know Trump said he's trying to secure the Black jobs, honey, but I don't know if there's anything else.
Baby, they are giving us these lies is what they're going to give us. They're going to give us broken promises is what they're going to give us. Y'all know this by now. We're going to get a whole bunch of talk and nothing to back that up. No action. I actually think that's what we need to pay attention to, Black people. I think we should pay attention to what's being told and really like finding a way to ensure that we get that thing, like applying pressure, staying on them. I think that's the advantage that the LGBTQ community has had over Black people, is that they not only find the funds, because you got to have like some money, but they also have they just also have that pressure. They gonna get out, they gonna rally, they gonna fight, and they're gonna show up for themselves. So if we can figure out how to really like demand, like really demand what we want and be unified about what we want. I mean, we keep talking about reparations. Like, I don't know, in the chat, tell us what we want. What do we want? And then once we know what we want, then we can ask for it. I feel like we don't make demands. When's the last time you asked for something? When's the last time anyone in the chat has gone to a local politician and said, "This is what our community needs in the community that I stay in"? I'll wait. Because I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I haven't been. I haven't been there. I haven't been asking for certain things. Like, we get on the internet and complain together, and we talk shit, but we don't talk shit to the right, like the right people. We talk shit to each other, but we don't say anything to the people that it matters most. So if we can just figure out how to rally together, and know what our demands are. So what's your list? Tell me in the chat. What do you want in your reparations? What do you want for reparations? Don't get you want some money? You want free healthcare? What do you want, Black people? What do you want? Once we know what we want, then we can go and demand that. But we got to apply pressure with what we want.
Thank you for that, Tiara. And Linda, I will pose the same question to you. What are we getting, if anything, for the Black vote? And what should we be asking for?
We're not getting anything for the Black vote. I'll make it really sweet and concise. What we should be asking for are the things that we have been talking about online, tweeting about, pontificating about on TikTok and all these other social media platforms. What really needs to happen is somebody or somebody's needs to figure out, get together, have some think tanks, some focus groups, and put it out there so that we can show up. Then we can go up to Congress. And I just want to say this, when it comes to the LGBTQ, a lot of them had positions of power. They weren't just regular Joe Blows out here talking about we need our rights. So let's be clear about this. And those positions of power were tired of being dissed as well. So they said, hey, they got together, came up with the focus group, and then spread it out to the little people. And there we have this. So we need to also keep in mind how that went down. It wasn't the little bitty people doing it, because there's a lot of gay people in Congress, right, that can help them shuffle this along, give them some tips and tools and techniques on how to do this. And so I'm saying my charge would be to the Jasmine Crockett's who are already in, who are under 40 or right at 40. Y'all need to get together. This CBC that we have, the Congressional Black Caucus, get those millennials to get together and teach, how did we do it? What did we do? And then it starts. The young people got to come out here and tell these younger people how it's done. How is it done? Nina Turner, she needs to, why we're not creating this stuff? We can't just have these people. Jasmine is the bomb. Jasmine could lead some things right about now. It's a lot of people who would listen to her. Where you at, Jasmine? I'm calling you out. I'm calling her out. I'm calling her out. You got the momentum right now. Let's go.
Listen, Linda, that is the best way for us to even wrap up our show today. We are going to go into last thoughts. So ladies, please feel free to share your final thoughts on everything we discussed today and where the people can find you. We're going to start with you first, Tiara.
Okay, so Linda said something about, for one, Jasmine is one person, so we can't put don't put so much pressure on Jazz. But there are, in addition, I know, I'm just joking. There are Black people, you know, you said that there are powerful gay people and people from the LGBTQ community in those seats of power. There's also Black people. We just watched a Black woman who is a Black person in power at the top of the hour, right? I think if our, you know, the people that we've elected in those seats could really just like stand for us and stand for the things that we want. You know, I would challenge them. I would challenge the Black caucus and, you know, all of those Black people that I was so fancied by that I mentioned at the top of the hour, like when I worked with Mayor Karen Bass. Like, I went there and there was Black people everywhere, and they were smart and they knew law and they were doing whatever, voting on things and being fancy and wearing nice suits and living a nice life in DC. But like, at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know if we have somebody that's willing to take the charge and get things. Okay, there's that. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Somebody call me. I can't stand when people do that. I don't know if there's anyone willing to stand in and take the charge. Actually, like a community, because it can't be just one person. Like, we just have to collectively. Those people that are fighting for us on Capitol Hill are far and few. I just feel like they're comfortable with living the life they live. They sprinkle a little bit of like Black conversation, like we should do this for Black people. Okay, you guys say no? Okay, we'll wait for the next time. But I'm still gonna drive my luxury car and do my thing, and then that be it. It's not really like a demand. So if there's a way that us as people can put pressure on them as elected officials, then maybe we can impact change. Maybe we can do something. Oh, if you want to know where you can find me, I am Tierra Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood. I am at MSBLACK Hollywood across all major platforms. I also believe that at the baseline of every successful business is storytelling, and I happen to be a master storyteller. So if you are an entrepreneur looking for a better way to communicate with your audience, a better way to communicate with the prospective clients, I am your girl. You can reach me at realvirtual.net. That's REEL virtual.net, like a movie reel. And I will see you soon.
Okay. Thank you so much, Tiara. And you, Linda, where can the good people find you and your final thoughts?
My final thoughts are that we got to stop talking and start doing. And you can find me across pretty much all social media platforms at Linda S. Husser. I am also affectionately known as the bodacious lifestyle coach for Black women over 50. If you are stuck, ready to reinvent yourself and regret-proof your life, I am the person who can help you navigate that journey.
I love that. Okay, regret proof your life. I like your final thought. It was very concise. Hello, everyone. My name is Athena Gardner. I'm a CPA and a wealth coach. My final thoughts are this. Clearly, in my opinion, both candidates are not performing to where we should be as a society. So my advice to you is to actually look at their cabinets and look at their policies of both parties and vote based off of that. If you want to find me, you can find me on my website at wewealthwomen.com and at wewealthwomen on all social media platforms. I also have a podcast that is on Apple, Spotify, and iHeart called the We Wealth Women Podcast. It has been lovely serving you guys today. We are Fly Nubian Money. We are here Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to give you the latest conversation and discourse on these topics to help elevate you on your mindset, and your money. You can always catch us live on Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and text the word Queens, that is QUEENS, to 87948 so you do not miss us live, and also you do not miss anything that we try to help you. If you're a queen that wants to get your money right, you can go to flynubianmoney.com and try our free financial resources. courses, and more. Or if you rather listen to us on the go, we are available on Spotify. We love you. We will see you tomorrow. And make sure your vote matters and you vote on what's important to you.